Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another political episode. So, something that's been in the news a lot, and it's only escalating. California is yet again burning. California burning. And we all know why. We know it's not surprising. Apparently, everyone is freaking out. Because Donald Trump is president again, and this is a president that wants accountability. And if you're not going to be responsible, he's good. And if your leaders aren't going to fight for you, he will. And everyone's mad about that because Donald Trump just hours ago deployed the Marines, and of course, and we got CNN clapping their hands in excitement over this as California is now suing the Trump administration. Now you'd be wondering, why are they suing the Trump administration? Well, apparently California and Gavin Newsom thinks it's an amazing idea to sue the Trump administration for intervening. Because California is complacent. The Newsom administration is complacent. They support the riots that are going on right now as Gavin Newsom basically kicks legs in the air as we see gruesome images. And they say, oh, it's mostly peaceful. Does this look peaceful to you all? And you ought to be offended, because when they say it's mostly peaceful, that's an insult to you guys, because they're basically saying to you right now, you're stupid and dumb, because I have eyes. I'm not blind. We see idiots lighting police cars on fire, and once again, Democrats, California, Gavin Newsom, how long did it take him to release the National Guard? He didn't even release the National Guard. Trump had to do that. Folks, as much as I can't stand Tim Walz and how he treated the BLM riots, he eventually released the National Guard. But it took him over a day to do it. Why do you think Tim Walz released the National Guard? Why? Because he knew, and he was hoping that his little political pawns that are blowing Minneapolis up would stop. It would just be one night. But he knows very well that that isn't the case. But once it escalated, he knew he politically couldn't get away with not releasing the Guard. So that's why Governor Walz decided to release the National Guard. Now, of course, you're seeing the same situation play out now, but the Trump administration is giving these governors no time, specifically Gavin Newsom. It's not, let's have a meeting and discuss what we should do while cars and buildings are literally on fire. No, you immediately have to release the National Guard. And if the president has to do it for you, that really speaks volume on your administration. That speaks volume. Gavin Newsom, this proves that he isn't the moderate we all want to believe he is. He isn't the moderate. Because if he was moderate, he would come out immediately and release the Guard. But it took him so much contemplating and thinking and decision-making if he should release the National Guard. It's so stupid. Release the Guard. Like, what the heck? This guy is a con man. So, yeah, Mayor Karen Bass, according to JB, expressed outrage at the crackdown. So, apparently, the leaders of California, including the mayor, the governor, the attorney general, and all the other wokesters in California, they're angry, but they're not angry at what's going on right now, the millions of damage and dollars are causing. They're not angry about these violent thugs, these terrorists, inflicting fear in the eyes of many Californians. No, they're not mad about that. They're mad about these protests being held, cracking down on these protests. They're angry that these protests are being taken down. That's how I'm seeing it, and I think majority of Americans are also see it that way too. Why are you mad that law enforcement, that the National Guard is taking out these protests? Look at the flames. Every single picture, right here, I see flames. There is not one photo where I do not see flames. And you're very mad and you're livid that Trump is using federal power to take out these protests. And I justify that federal power because we are dealing with a horrific entity, guys. The far left has gotten far extreme. Folks, 1992, Los Angeles riots, when it comes to these, we weren't dealing with far-left lunatics. I don't know what happened with the Los Angeles riots of 1992. No, it's Los Angeles, and these far-left Angelinos do what they do best, and that's set things afire. But since 1992, going onward, we've noticed that the radicalism has gotten far extreme. We are dealing with the threats of these threats they are threatening to ICE agents, threatening to nail gun their families and their kids, the relatives of ICE agents to the wall or to a plank. That is an act of terrorism. And here's how I see it. If you want to role play as a terrorist, play with fire, we're going to give you fire. That's right. The United States doesn't owe you nothing. When you set the fires to many Americans and the homes of many Americans and the property of Americans, guess what? This country owes you nothing. They will leave you outside cold and dry to rot. That is what we will do. Because you're telling us with these photos, what you guys do is you set things on fire. You're telling us that United States of America, we owe you guys nothing. We owe you nothing. Nothing. You want to live in Gaza? We will send you there. We will deport you there. You want to live in Iran or Afghanistan? We will send you there. There, you get to live in real fire. You can play with real fire. Because in the United States of America, this is not, and I mean not, tolerated. I am very critical of the BLM riots in 2020. It was absolutely disappointing. I know the Trump administration absolutely regretted that what happened. Those riots shouldn't have gone out of control. Now, I know the Trump administration was afraid about provoking the riots. And now these far-left lunatics, they're going around and they're saying, Trump's making it worse. No. I'm sorry. Sending the National Guard to control these far-left terrorists is not making it worse. You know what's making it worse? Not doing anything about it. Letting Gavin Newsom and downplay these far-left Marxists and let them spread their flames and their BS all over Los Angeles. And then, guess what you'll get? You get a BLM 2020 2.0. And it's everywhere. It will go everywhere. And I agree with Greg Foreman. I think that the Summer of Love is back. And it will be back. And everyone living in major Marxist cities will be affected very soon. Now, they'll say, it's because Trump sent in the National Guard. Well, no, it would have happened regardless. Now, maybe they were, since Trump sent in the National Guard, they would express more urgency, would happen more sooner. But I believe it's inevitable at this point. It's better to be prepared with a strategy. And I would go as far as saying every governor, including woke Minnesota and all these red states, they needed to deploy their National Guards in their major cities. Massachusetts and Boston, New York City. New York should deploy their National Guard. Pennsylvania, deploy their National Guard. Florida, deploy their National Guard. Georgia, deploy their National Guard. And Atlanta. Minnesota, deploy their National Guard in Minneapolis. Illinois, deploy their National Guard in Chicago. Wisconsin and Milwaukee. Michigan and Detroit. Ohio and Cleveland. Nebraska and Omaha. And Nevada and Las Vegas. Arizona and Phoenix. All these major cities. Colorado and Denver. Texas in Dallas, Houston, and Austin, and San Antonio. Deploy them everywhere. And I would go as far as saying Gavin Newsom needs to deploy more National Guard, and he's not done anything. All he's done is kick legs in the air. He needs to deploy guards in San Francisco, San Diego, and all these major California coastal cities, because it's going to spread very soon. Yes, we know it's going to ramp it up. But as President of the United States, you can't let the American people suffer. Now they'll say, states' rights! All of a sudden, Democrats care about states' rights. Do you guys find that interesting? Oh, Trump, he's intervening in California. Only the governor has a right. No. The governor's not doing its job. I'm sorry. So what? President Trump is supposed to ignore the fact that people are being burned alive inside these buildings in California, and Governor Newsom's doing nothing about it? And President Trump isn't supposed to ignore the fact that his federal ICE agents are being attacked? And you expect the federal government not to respond because states' rights, states' rights. Gavin Newsom will respond, but we know Gavin Newsom won't respond. He will eventually respond, but when it fits his narrative, like Tim Walz, right? And all these woke governors did in 2020. We know they will. And obviously, we know what we're up against, and it's justified. We're dealing with terrorists. Guys, we are dealing with terrorists. And we will make you can make the argument that these are insurgent groups acting on the behalf of a foreign adversary. MS-13, Trenderawagwa, who since this year have been declared terrorists by the United States. That said, enemies and opponents. Now, honestly, we aren't going to make enemies out of our own people. We don't want to do that. We're not going to go and do a witch hunt. But if you are going to do terrorist stuff, like crucifying ICE agents and their families and their kids with nail guns, you will be called a terrorist, and you will be treated like a terrorist. You will be sent to Guantanamo. I don't care if you were born here. I don't care if you speak the language. I don't care about how much community service. No. If you are a threat to the United States and their people, and you're doing terrorist stuff, you're leaving. The United States owes you nothing. Nothing at all. Good riddance. Goodbye. And I'll tell you, as someone who has witnessed and remembers everything in 2020 and what happened 5 years ago, never leaves me. Now, I had a fine summer. I'm generally a person that doesn't leave the community. I live generally an hour away from Minneapolis, St. Paul. But it kills you inside to worry about my family. My 80-year-old grandmother lives in the suburb of Bloomington in Minneapolis. Kills me to wonder how these idiots, these demented, just morons, would actually do to her. And what they would do to my uncle and his kids that live in the suburb of Eagan and Minneapolis. It pains you to know, because I don't live in Minneapolis, I live an hour away, and it doesn't matter, I can travel anywhere. These people are self-committed social justice brutes, and I'll call them for what they are. They will do whatever they can to destroy us all. Even go to the countryside. That is 100% possible. Oh, I won't go to the countryside. There's no traction there. There's no, all it takes is some stupid moron to drive over there and start shooting people. That's one person. We owe these people no trust. They have got no trust. The far left has gone crazy. These idiots, the left, the media, they will go off on Republicans, MAGA, and the right for stupid stuff like January 6th. That, I'm sorry, was 1 hour. And it was a protest gone wrong. Gone wrong. And they want to go and blame the President of the United States. He must have planned this. He must be a leader of an insurgent. He must be planning to overthrow the government. We don't do this for these idiots. I'm sorry. Why is Maxine Waters running around Los Angeles trying to bust into ICE detention centers? How do we not know that Maxine Waters isn't throwing projectiles at federal troops right now? How do we know that she's not doing that? Just because we don't see pictures of her doing it or footage doesn't mean she isn't. And we do know how California media operates. They'll never, ever take pictures of Maxine Waters acting like, I'm going to say it, guys, and I don't care if you're offended, acting like an animal. She's acting like an animal. She's running around in the smoke, busting and assaulting ICE members and federal troops. And they won't take pictures of it. They won't cover it. They'll make her look very good. And I can guarantee you the narrative is, Maxine Waters was denied access despite being a member of Congress. That's the narrative. No, it doesn't matter. It's like a little kid trying to bust into the principal's office. A little kid, a little student. It doesn't matter. You know that. Maxine Waters is acting like an 8-year-old instead of an 80-year-old woman running around with her cane trying to whack ICE agents. And she's just insane and unhinged. And just like all the others, you have Hakeem Jeffries saying that, telling federal ICE agents that they will be held accountable. I wonder what that means. Is the media calling Hakeem Jeffries an insurrectionist? I don't think they are. They're very quiet to me. I'm just kind of wondering, what does Hakeem Jeffries? Is there? I bet maybe there's Newsmax that are going off. But yes, very little traction. Fox News says ICE officials put politicians on blast, accusing them of endangering people. No, I think it's more than that. I think Hakeem Jeffries is encouraging rebellion, encouraging violence, encouraging insurgency. You also have this irrelevant post. Don't know why that's up there. But this famous traction from Forbes, this is not the Soviet Union. He says that, there's no Iron Curtain. Take off the masks. I'm telling you, Hakeem Jeffries, you have a responsibility as a member of Congress, a future House Speaker, to make sure that every federal agent and every federal employee or federal law enforcement officer is safe. These people are being threatened crucifixion by these far left terrorists. And what does Hakeem Jeffries say? Take off the mask. Brave it up. Brave up. Don't arrest. Don't do your job. In fact, go hide in a corner and possibly let your kids and your wife and your family get crucified by these idiots. And I use the word crucified because I'm saying this is what the left has obsessed about. Nail guns to the wall. That's crucifixion. That's crucifixion. And I'm not going to downplay it. Hakeem Jeffries is downplaying the extremist terrorists in his own party. How shameful. And all Forbes has to say is, this is not the Soviet Union. I respect Forbes magazine, but you gotta say more than this. Come on. Hakeem Jeffries blasts ICE officials trying to hide their identities. We know why they're hiding their identities. Hakeem Jeffries, Forbes magazine, do not let this clown try to steer the narrative. This man putting, and I'll say this, MS-13 is bad, but I'll tell you all, these idiots setting fires, they're just as worse as MS-13. They're just as worse as these illegal aliens. You think they're all illegal aliens, guys? No, I don't think they're illegal aliens. I think they're far left radicalized communists. And I truly do think that Joseph McCarthy, he was absolutely right in the dangers of communism. He handled it the wrong way about going and starting a witch hunt. But because we downplay Joseph McCarthy's, Senator McCarthy's urgency on how to crack down on communism a long time ago, we get this. Joseph McCarthy, as much as we hate it, how much the historians want to throw a fit about it, he was 100% correct because we didn't. We decided to push Joseph McCarthy away. Joseph McCarthy got censured by the Senate. Can he get by the Senate? I think they stripped him of some committee assignments. But yeah, the Senate held McCarthy accountable. And because they did that, the American people threw him in the garbage. And because of this, look at what we got now. Guys, we are blowing up buildings in half of Los Angeles because we're enforcing the law. I don't know what's so controversial about sending people back. Sending people back that aren't supposed to be here, that entered in here illegally. Go back home. This is so horrible. In these communist minds, it doesn't matter if you entered in the country illegally. It doesn't matter if you entered in here. You should be allowed to break the law because from other reasons. You could say it's because of race and entitlement. It's because of living conditions and prosperity and trying to seek an American dream. I don't care. You enter in the legal way. We are not denying anyone entry. We believe everyone has a shot in this great country. But you have to enter in the right way. And when you don't do that, you break the law. And when you think you can get away with it, you obviously think you are above the law. And all your friends that are setting fires, they agree. You are above the law. They think everyone in Mexico and wherever they're all coming from, they come into this country, they're above the law. They think that. They obviously support and agree with the narrative. Why? Why would they agree with such thing? Probably for woke reasons. And to be honest, I think it's more communists. These people, we know for sure, they're communists. They're not... In fact, I think the whole Democratic Party is communist. There's no way it isn't. But we're talking about the extreme communists. And these are the people. The photos right here. Every single one. It does not... Never fails. Never fails. But every single fire, every single riot, every single photo has a flames. Oh, this doesn't have flame, well, I have smoke, so I count it the same, because we know there was fire there at some point. But yes, this is the left, guys. The left is responsible. They're the most violent ideology. Oh, what about the right? Holocaust. Oh, World War II. That's all you guys got. That's all you guys got, guys. History has told us how violent the left is. A lot of these historians, they are leftists, so I can understand why they don't want to admit it and don't want to talk about it. But we got the French Revolution, the beheading of 12,000, 15,000 persons. That was the left. They were born out of blood. Born from the guillotine, straight out. You got the Russian Civil War, the Russian Revolution, the Bolshevik purging, and, of course, the rise of Stalin in his purgings, in his massive killings. That's the left. You also have the rise of Mao in China. The rise with communist China. The burying Christians, Buddhists, and anyone that he thinks is against him alive. You also have Pol Pot of Cambodia, who is responsible for the Cambodian genocide. Not to mention, you got others. The killings by Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. You have you have Saddam Hussein. You have Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. You have the recently fallen leftist dictator Bashar al-Assad. He gassed his own people alive. You have also the regime in North Korea. The 3-generation death penalty. That's the left. They don't want to admit it. No. They don't want to talk about it. You got also the killings in response. Of course, the dictator in Chile, Salvador Allende. You got Grenada, led by Mr. Bishop. You have all these horrible men, all these horrible dictators. And these idiots, these demented morons, are so committed to follow in the footsteps of these horrible people. And it's just very sad. And obviously, who am I kidding? Palestine's a left-wing dictatorship. Why do you think they all love them so much? In fact, they're a one-party socialist dictatorship. But I could talk all day about the international left, the historical left, which hasn't changed one bit. But let's talk about the American left. No, what? Don't talk about the American left. The American right is the violent ones. MAGA! Really? Got January 6th, 1 hour, versus the far-left extremists from the Donald Trump anti-Trump riots from 2017 to 2019, the 2020 George Floyd riots, the Dante Wright riots in 2021, the 2022 Roe v. Wade riots, the 2023 to 2024 pro-Palestine riots, and then you have the anti-ICE riots, the anti-Tesla riots, the anti-Doge riots. I just put them all in one. And they want to talk about January 6th? Oh, it's such a... Republicans, they're so violent, these right-wing extremists. Go, open the door, slam it in your face, and self-evaluate. Because right now, you're just a disgrace. These are the people that Golden Day. January 6th, it was a disastrous day. I almost died. Well, meanwhile, you know what? It looks like you ought to be used to it. These people love violence. Only if it's committed by them, they love it. But if it's committed by the right, and one time only, 1 hour, and they just use it for a political talking point. They don't actually care about the riot and the morals of it. No. They'll say they do. But in reality, they're just going to use it for gains and benefits. We are moral, but the American people, they see you. And they say, no, you guys aren't actually good people. These people think they're so better. These people think they're amazing. They're morally superior than everyone else on this planet. They're obviously better. They care about all. And they're setting fires to show us how much they care about us. Meanwhile, they're lighting fires and destroying our businesses. Now, I get the 2024 election didn't show much of a result as we were hoping for in the House races. But when it came to the 2024 election presidential race, it was a huge shift in regards to California. How so? We already know that the swing was aggressive in favors of Republicans. All the coastal counties, huge trends to the right. County flips. Over 10 counties were flipped to the Republican Party. In other words, to the very bad Donald J. Trump they talk about all the time, not 24/7, to the Californian people, which they did for 8 years, and we still have this glorious result. This, folks, is resistance. And I have to say, oh, well, the House seats. You know, the Republicans lost a House seat, or 2 House seats in 2024. And that's probably because of the candidates. But when we have good Republicans like Donald Trump that actually has a backbone and says, you know what, I don't care what this says about me morally. The left, they're saying how I'm being a dictator, I'm being an authoritarian, I'm crossing boundaries and states' rights. Yeah. But I'm putting my people first. Because Gavin Newsom doesn't. He wants to wait for the best moment possible so he can launch a political stunt. Other Californians don't do also. But Donald Trump, you ought to be appreciated right this. He doesn't care about his political career. He doesn't say... The CNN, ABC, the mainstream liberal media, they're doing their rounds right now saying this is proof Donald Trump's being a dictator. Donald Trump knows this is not really good for his political career as far as crossing the boundaries. But he doesn't care because he sees the American people. This is the same Donald Trump that wanted to put these fires out to save the people of Los Angeles. Most of them voted against him. Most of them hated him. He doesn't care. He wants to fight for them anyway. This is the Donald Trump. He doesn't hold grudges. We saw how he treated Elon Musk. He treated Musk graciously, despite Musk very selfishly coming out and blasting baseless accusations against Trump. And here, Donald Trump didn't go off on Elon. No. Donald Trump stated his feelings, and he said, I don't want to talk to Elon anymore. That's respectable. The Donald Trump that the media would say is he would go off and on Elon for on like 50 tweets. This is the media. That's the media that Democrats say Donald Trump is, but that's not the case. But you see the trends in these said results. This is, of course, 2020. I generally like to look at 2016, and you'll see very big differences here. Los Angeles, 16 points to the right. This is 2016. Obviously, the red areas, conservative areas, I understand. That's obviously because they aren't living under Los Angeles. We aren't seeing big fires other than wildfires that are natural being set by humans. But we are actually looking at this. We're seeing San Francisco 11 points to the right. Orange County 5 points to the right. Los Angeles 16 points to the right. San Diego not as much, but San Diego typically, and back then, was pretty more conservative, actually. In 2008, 2012, it was a battleground county in California and often voted Republican in state elections. So, you'll see when it comes to these said results, looking at California is going rightward. And, I wonder why. Oh, this is why. So if Democrats want to sell the midterms out, and they probably are going to sell them in California, go ahead. This is going to help Republicans graciously. Republicans know they're likely not going to win any state races, but Republicans in California don't really care about state races. Yes, I know a lot of Republicans in California, they just really wish they could flip the governor's mansion so they could stop this. But when it comes to winning these races, when it comes into 2026 and these elections, in midterm elections, it is very much well possible. You could go as far as saying that, Democrats picked up California seats due to the overly increased liberal turnout. Everyone voted in this election. Everyone voted. Everyone came in these elections. They flipped 3 House seats for Democrats. You can make that argument. You could say, you know what, 2020, the reason why they got flipped 3 seats is all the liberals showed up. In 2022, they didn't really have much of a reason to show up. A, they knew which way the results were going to go. B, they said, abortion. Well, abortion, California is going to be abortion no matter what. Period. But yes, you'll see Republicans did flip 2 seats. I know this seat was an inevitable flip. This seat, however, I think we can flip it back. Adam Gray, he is the underdog in this election. A lot of people say, he's popular. Well, he's running against an opponent that has advantage of being from an area very popular with Hispanic voters, and being in an area that obviously Adam Gray needs to win, a county that Adam Gray needs to win this county right here, in order to win. He's likely not going to win that. That is Javier Lopez, the mayor of Ceres, which is a city of how many people? 49,000 people. That's a lot of people. And that's a lot of recognition. So if Democrats want to walk around and say, we're going to keep the 13th district, go ahead. I'm not saying Republicans are going to flip it. But they absolutely can. Now, I look at this map and I say, you know what? Why didn't California go more rightward in favors of Trump, like New York? Because I think Kamala Harris, we got to remember, Kamala Harris is also on the ballot. She's from California, number 2. New York is worse when it comes to California. I'm guessing New York is much ahead when it comes to resistance against the Democratic Party. But anyway, we talked a lot today. A lot's on the ballot and a lot's at stake, but these are going to make good midterm ads. I don't know why, but Democrats are creating lots and lots and lots of midterm ads for Republicans. And of course, Democrats like Chris Van Hollen, Jacob Jeffries, and Maxine Waters talking good words to MS-13 and defending this. Very good ads, and it's going to resonate with many, many Americans. So anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.